Over a year and a half ago, Lori and I went to a Christian marriage conference, and it greatly strengthened our marriage. The conference was focused on trying to help marriages on the brink of divorce, all the way up to marriages that just needed a spark. And there were some people that they go every year, every other year. We had a couple of married one time. A couple said they've been married 50 years now. They've been going to a marriage conference. Um, One of the things we discovered at marriage conference was how there were Christian organizations that don't treat divorced Christians as outcasts. So that was kind of encouraging for us because other than your liberal uh, feel good churches, the most of your modern traditional churches, they kind of push the divorced Christian to the side. They don't really, what do you say? Don't cater to them, I guess.
Don't really. I think they don't really shun you, but they don't. They just kind of there. Like they don't really go out of their way to help you. I don't think.
But we discovered Family Life Ministries, Family Life Blended, those two ministries, they don't look, they don't celebrate divorce, but they let you know and make you feel that if you have been through divorce, you're not an outcast. There is life after divorce, life after divorce, and we learned that there. Um, and we there's actually Christian organizations that don't view you if you've been divorced as having a big D on your chest,
Mm-hmm.
like the Scarlet Letter D.
Scarlet letter, yeah.
Yep. We learned about Family Life Blended Ministries. And we listened to an hour-long presentation by the director of Family Life Ministries, Ron Deal. And it really caught our attention. And like, you know what? That's us. We're in that type of situation. That resonated with us because we have both. Our marriage came from divorces. And when I married her, we started a blended family. Um, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
So in today's episode, we want to speak to you about some of the blessings we have had being in our blended family. We hope to encourage those of you who are in marriages and have families that have formed from remarriage. We want to tell you that you are not alone and that you do have a marriage and a family that is blessed by God. So stay tuned.
That's right. It has been a while since we made a video, and I kind of forgot how to do it. So I was kind of rambling on. I'm rambling on already. But hey, life got busy for us the last 3 or 4 weeks. Um, we had weddings to go to, and we just had some stressors in life. So we haven't been on lately, but we're back, and we're glad you're here watching us. We got a good episode for you. Um, you won't want to miss this, and we're going to try to make some more episodes, and we're going to try to do shorter formats, so we can do maybe 2 or 3 a week, just short formats. So let's go. You know the phrase "beauty from ashes." You know that beauty from ashes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what comes to mind when I think about life after divorce. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. You know, you get divorced, or even if you lost the spouse to death, you don't have to be miserable the rest of your life. You don't have to be sad and miserable and just feel defeated. You can go on. You can have a happy life. As Christians, Lori and I do not believe that divorce is God's plan. We don't promote divorce. Uh, but even if you've been divorced, like we have, God can still use you. And we believe that if it's God's will, you can get married again. Now, we don't think that you should take that lightly. Number one, you need to have time to fully recover from your divorce, maybe seek out forgiveness or offer forgiveness and make amends with the divorced parties and make sure that you and your kids and your extended family are ready for what comes next. What comes next might be single. You might be a single parent, single person the rest of your life. Or you might say, I want to seek out God's will for marriage again. And um, if God's will is for you to get married again, then it is a good thing. And if you get married again after you've been divorced or even after you lost a spouse, if it's God's will, then God will bless that marriage. And that marriage will be a covenant that God ordained. one of the blessings of remarriage after divorce, or even if you've lost a spouse and you get married, I think that would probably be harder to get married after you lost a spouse.
Mhm.
Uh, but one of the blessings is forming a blended family. And that's not really something people think about. You're not like a young person thinking, I want to get married, divorce, and have a blended family. You don't think that, but it happens sometimes. And I'm truly blessed to have this blended family. I know she is too. So, Lori, go ahead and start off about the blessings of a blended family.
So I never thought that my marriage would have ended in divorce, but it did. And then I started dating Joey and we got married and formed our own blended family. Since that time, nearly 14 years ago, can't believe it's been
14
14
years.
years, God has continually blessed Joey and I and our blended family. Today we will talk about the blessings of a blended family.
That's right. And we've been since we've been dating, and it's been almost 15 years since we started dating.
Hmm.
You know, you might, you know, um, we know a lot of married couples who they're not on their first marriage. A lot of great people that we go to church with, a lot of our best friends are couples that have been married and divorced, and they're on their second marriage, maybe third. I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
we don't pry into everybody's business, but a lot of good associates of ours in church, Christian friends we have, are husbands and wives in their second marriage, and they have kids from their previous marriages. They have that blended family, so we do have. I guess we call it underground community. We kind of got a secret community at church with a blended family. But we wanna what we want to do is we want to take away the stigma of that kind of family. There shouldn't be a stigma on blended family. You shouldn't have to say, Brother Johnny, he's been divorced. They're getting married again, so we're going to have a secret ceremony for him. So, you know, but we still love Brother Johnny. We don't promote the divorce, but you know, we're going to have a secret wedding for Brother Johnny and that woman. Uh, it shouldn't be like that. Some of the best marriages we know are those who have been remarried after they've been divorced.
So, like we have said many times before, we do not promote, approve, or support divorce, but sometimes, like in the cases of me and Joey, when divorce just happens,
It
you can't
happens.
help it. We do, however, think you can move on after divorce and get remarried if it is God's will for you to do so. In some cases, it might not be God's will for you to get remarried if you have been divorced, or maybe if you have lost a spouse due to an untimely death. God may want you to remain unmarried, and in many circumstances, God may have plans for you to get remarried again.
Yes. And there are some circumstances where it could be a man in his 30s or 40s, or he's never been married, and he doesn't feel like there's anybody out there for him. There might be some a woman, single woman who's been divorced or lost a spouse, and she's got kids, and that that young man he might be able to meet up with somebody like her. That might be somebody that young man might be able to have a chance to get married to, if it's God's will. I know it sounds crazy that God has plans for divorced people to get married, to remarry. That there are some Christians and churches and teachers and denominations, especially the fundamental types, that'll say if you get divorced, number one, you're wrong, and they even say you're going to hell, which is not biblical. But even if you get divorced because your spouse committed adultery, unrepentant adultery, they'll say even though it wasn't your fault, if you got divorced, you can't get married again ever. Which we don't believe that, and that's not biblically accurate. Uh, but I believe that God knows all things, and if we seek after His will in our lives, God's plan and purpose for us to happen. So if you've been divorced and you've sought that forgiveness and you have made amends and you sought God's will in your life, and if God wills for you to get remarried, then that's a good thing. I know of great Christian men and women who have gone through divorce, and regardless of the circumstance. And then they have been remarried again. We can even name several men. I know two of them right now, who have been divorced and remarried to other women that's been divorced. And these men are serving in the church. I know two men are pastors in churches that's been divorced. Probably shouldn't say that. I'm not gonna name names. But it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Some people are gonna say you guys are heretical. Look, the problem is people don't have a real understanding of what the Bible says. And the Bible does not promote divorce. And I'm actually studying in Mark chapter 10 about this. And um, God's plan was never for divorce, but because of adultery, that's where you get your exception. Even Jesus said that. So I believe that it could. I don't think it's God's will for somebody that has been divorced because an adulterous situation to live their life in misery and not ever get a chance to get remarried again.
Mhm.
Yes, it's not what we strive for in life. Nobody says, "Well, I want to get married, and if it don't work out, I'll just get divorced and get married again." Nobody really. Well, I guess
You should think that way.
people that are not. We used to call that the Hollywood marriage. You can get one of them Hollywood marriages. People have married 6, 7 times. They just move on to another one. But you don't really want that in life. Um, but sometimes you face these unfortunate situations, unfortunate circumstances, like you might lose your spouse to death, or you might have to go through a divorce for whatever situation that you can't control. But you don't have to live with that regret and shame and misery all your life. You can move on from divorce or loss of a spouse, and you can start all over again. And Lori, um, tell us some of the blessings that you have received from a blended family and remarriage.
Well, remarriage is a chance for a new start. It's a chance to put the pain of a failed marriage away and start all over again. And you got to make sure you do that first before you move on.
Right.
It's a chance to have a lifelong friend and a true, faithful partner. No one wants to be alone, and God created us for relationship. So after coming out of a failed marriage, remarriage is that chance to have a true God ordained marriage covenant. Of course, before you commit to remarriage, you must first seek out God's will and find that Christian man or woman that God has for you, and then you can seek the blessings of remarriage. Another blessing or remarriage is having that mother and father home. So kids need a mother and a father. That's research based. Children need a home with a daily mother and father presence, even if one is a step parent. It's also beneficial for the single parent who has been struggling to try to raise their kids on their own. Being a single mom is extremely difficult.
Mhm.
I can tell you by experience. I have been blessed to have a husband that wants to provide for us spiritually and financially. So, that's I feel like that's what God's plan is for your husband to be the spiritual leader and financial leader of the home. And so I'm very blessed and glad that God put us together.
Amen. That's right. You said something here that you must first seek out God's will and find that Christian man or Christian woman. That's the key. Um, and I've seen too many good Christian men and Christian women that get divorced, and they eventually marry somebody that I don't know if that person they married was Christian or not, but
Mhm.
people that get married that the Christian man or Christian woman, they get married, and then you see them at church, but they're always by themselves. They go,
Mhm.
well, where's that new wife? Where's that new husband at? I mean, let's. I want to meet them. They won't go to church, so you wonder, are they really seeking out that Christian wife or Christian husband?
Mhm.
I think you have to.
Yep.
Don't marry just someone because you want to get married again. Can't do that. Okay. Now for me, there have been two huge blessings in our blended family. First, married to a wonderful Christian lady. And after a failed marriage, nothing against the woman I was married to, but um, it just wasn't working out, and we probably should not have got married. And that's one of the problems with marriages. A lot of young people and people in general, they get married to the wrong person, thinking it's going to work, and it doesn't. You got to marry the right person. That's where marriage counseling comes in. And I'm kind of off track here, but this is why my marriage failed before. Married the wrong person. Had I gone to extensive marriage counseling, I might say, you know what, this ain't gonna work. We shouldn't do this. I think most of your divorces would not happen. We could eliminate half of the divorces if they'd have that extensive marriage counseling. And he's like, you know what? This might sound harsh, but we should not get married. It would be better to have that agony at first, and then spend years married, and have to deal with it later.
And then have kids that have to
Yes,
suffer because their parents get divorced.
yes, because you should never got married. But now I married the one I should have married a long time ago. We should have married each other as teenagers. Well, we didn't. But God brought us together. It was God's path. God's broken path that brought us together. Our broken path that God brought us together.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, Having Lori as my wife has been the biggest blessing. The next blessing I have from remarriage is children. In my previous marriage, I didn't have any children. And I think it's God's design. It's God's design. He did not want me to have children in the wrong marriage, married to the wrong person. And it was good for both of us. So now, when I married her, she has three boys, and they were
Boy,
mom 12, 6, and 3, and now they are, so 14 years later, 26,
26, 20,
20, and
17.
17. Yep. Um, I wasn't always the perfect stepfather. We didn't always get along, but for the most part, we did. We had a good family life, and we did things that neither one of us did in our previous marriage. We went on trips together, and whether weekend trips or long trips, and went out and on, just going out on a Friday night, went to church together 3 times a week, and um, we had a good family. We had the family we always wanted. And now our oldest boy, he's moved on, and he's married, got a wonderful wife, and two grandbabies, two great little girls. Now, well, I come into a marriage having no kids. Now I have three boys. I'm a stepdad of three boys. Now I got grandkids.
Yeah, Papa Jojo.
Papa Jojo, that's right.
Papa
So
Jojo, Memo.
I got my dad cup, and this shirt here. I love this shirt. She bought this for me. It's a Star Wars theme. Uh, and this is the blessings that I have being married to her. But and this is the blessings of a second marriage. Uh, the other two boys are still with us. Carter's 20. He's going to college and working and doing good. He's going to be an accountant. He's a junior in college. I say he's my retirement plan. Uh, the youngest one is a freshman, and he works at the movie theater. And he wants to
He's
be
a senior.
he's a senior. Yeah, he wants to be a medical field, probably EMT or paramedic. And um, another extended blessing is circumstances we're not going to talk about led me to adopt our youngest boy. So now he is my official son by adoption. So that was really a great victory for us. Remarriage and step family situations can be very difficult. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the difficulties. Now we're talking about the blessings, but it ain't always cupcakes and rainbows.
No.
It ain't always. No, we had some struggles, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in general. Um, so what we would like to hear from you, and we made this episode short, so we're going to try to make shorter episodes next time. We'd like to hear some of the blessings. If you've been remarried and you came from divorce, or maybe you lost a spouse, and you have this blended family, tell us about your blessings. So let me do some resources. If you are in a blended family and you're like, I just don't know how to do this. I'm having so many problems. I don't know where to get answers. Or if you're just starting a blended family. I would say the very first book you need to get is this one, Building Love Together in Blended Families, by Gary Chapman and Ron Deal. It's built off of that 5 love languages. Gary Chapman's a 5 love language guy, and Ron Deal is the blended family guy, family life. Get that book first. And then the second book,
Well, get that one before you get married.
Preparing to Blend. It tells you the pros and the cons of the blended family. And you might say, okay, we were going to get married next week, but maybe we need to postpone this for a while. Or you might think, you know what? We're not ready. These two books are the first ones you need to read. And then once you have committed to getting married again, and you're going to be a stepdad or stepmom, the smart stepdad, Ron Deal. Let me get my, okay, Ron Deal. There's also a smart stepmom, Ron Deal. You need to read that book. And then you and your wife in your second marriage or third marriage, Smart Step Family. These are the books you need to read. You have anything to add before we close?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, great. Hey, thank you for watching this video, and we're going to try to make some more like this in the future. And next week, the difficulties of a blended family. So thank you. Hey, give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Please comment if you have any blessings from your blended family. We'd like to hear about that. And so, hey, see you next time. God bless.